nothing at all, nothing redeemable in him. He's a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist.
That could be tough for an actor to play such a hateful man. Someone like, I don't know, like Bernie Madoff, say, a guy who stole $65 billion from nuns and Holocaust survivors like Elie Wiesel and was sentenced to 150 years in prison.
It kills me. Talk about persuasive. Really, I was on the fence about Trump, but then I decided to really listen to one of the great generational leaders of American pop culture. And the clenched fists at the end, that really drove it home. It looked like he was pressing a 2-pound weight in a Jenny Craig commercial.
Oh, my God.
Look at it again. It's so cute. It's like he found out the restaurant serves Jell-O, or that he won a $10 scratch-off, or he scored a cameo in Jersey Shore, or he had his first #2 in a week. Thank you, Fibercon. What a sad end for a great actor. He went from Raging Bull to this.
People shouting him down like, your movies suck. That's not true.
No, his movies are very good.
Suck. He's one of the greatest actors. I mean, he's the heir apparent to Brando, blah, blah, blah. But he's a loon.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to just say what he is. He has, basically, I describe this to people. You know what's happening now? Because people are aware about concussions and the problems with CTE. When you get hit and you get a dinger in football, they put you in the blue tent, in the sideline.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen to Democrats. They need to go in the blue tent for a little bit, kind of, get your eyes checked, and then come out and be rational again.
Yeah, cool off
and
a
De
little.
Niro needs to go in the blue tent.
What about the garbage outside today? Robert De Niro, officially sent by the Biden campaign, makes himself look like an idiot and reminds us why Trump is so popular.
It's so stupid. It was colossally stupid. If you're going to send somebody to go speak outside of the Trump trial, make it someone who's universally beloved, like a Michelle Obama. She's not universally loved. She's not loved on the right. But I'm saying, like, at least within the left and the center left, and maybe even some center righties. Robert De Niro has gone so hard partisan over the past 8 years. He is like example number 1 of Trump derangement syndrome. So Robert De Niro, who's got a severe case of the TDS, is in Contrance right now, as all of the muckety-mucks are. And he's very unhappy about what Trump is doing to try to keep American filmmaking in America by slapping tariffs on foreign-made films so that he can basically try to force people to make them domestically again for the American audience that they're meant to serve. And here's what De Niro said on Tuesday.
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions. He has cut funding and support to the arts, humanities, and education.
See, I find that he's smartest when they drop his audio. But, it's kind of sad because you can see, like, people who are stuck in some kind of, derangement, they can't see it themselves. And they're not surrounded by people telling them that they have a problem. And they lack self-awareness because everybody either tells them they're wonderful or wants to sell them cocaine. So he has no clue what he's doing, and he's upset over the emotional nature. His anger is emotional about Trump. It's nothing practical.
What makes Megyn Kelly's critique particularly biting is her sharp journalist instinct for spotting the crucial difference between genuine, deeply felt activism and hollow, performative public gestures. She highlights how the latter, unfortunately, often gets mistaken for the former in today's hyper-saturated, easily manipulated media environment. And Robert De Niro, in this scathing narrative, becomes the unwitting poster child for this very confusion. It's a powerful, sobering reminder that being a great, legendary actor doesn't automatically make someone a great or even competent political commentator or influential public voice. As the narratives of Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly unfold almost side by side in the public consciousness, the combined impact is undeniably, almost cinematically, devastating. Gutfeld's irreverent, almost gleeful, sarcastic dismantling of De Niro's fading star power and out-of-touch pronouncements perfectly complements Kelly's sharp, methodical exposure of the often shallow depths of his celebrity activism. Together, they form a perfect, inescapable storm, a comprehensive, two-pronged takedown that mercilessly hits both the public image and the perceived intent behind De Niro's current, highly politicized public persona. It's like a 2-for-1 sale on brutal, unflinching truth.
Lawrence O'Donnell's 5 years younger than Trump.
And Rachel Maddow's been dressing the same for 20 years, like Wally Cleaver. The same clothes. And the star of Dirty Grandpa, Robert De Niro, getting censored by The View after raging like a bull who saw a red MAGA hat.
The entertainment world and the political world are two very different stages. And Kelly expertly, almost clinically, shows how De Niro's attempts to cross over often trip spectacularly over their own inherent theatrics. Her approach is calm, incisive, and unsparing. Unlike Gutfeld's often sarcastic punchlines, Kelly's critique digs deeper, peeling back the layers of celebrity activism to reveal a public figure who seems more interested in maintaining the spotlight and clinging to relevance than in engaging with the actual issues he claims to champion so passionately. He's not just angry, he's emotionally angry about Trump, lacking any practical or logical basis for his fury, according to this takedown. So Robert De Niro, who allegedly has a severe case of TDS, is in Confluence, New York, right now, as all the mucky mucks are, very unhappy about what Trump is doing to try to keep American filmmaking in America by slapping tariffs on foreign-made films. De Niro's star power, Kelly implies, doesn't translate into political influence, especially when his arguments are so easily dismantled. Instead, it often becomes a loud, distracting, but ultimately empty echo chamber.
Example number one of Trump derangement syndrome. He's one of those, I'm moving to Canada if he wins, and he's never going to leave the White House if he wins. We're going to have Trump forevermore. I mean, hello, I hate to break it to you because I realize you're advanced age too, Robert, but people die. So he will leave. One way or the other, he's going to go. And in the not too distant future, even if Trump says he shouldn't have to. But in any event, he didn't do that the last time, Paul. Can you really picture a scenario in which Trump is more determined to hold on to power than he was at the last time in 2020, going into 2021? And what did he do ultimately? He left.
Just as Gutfeld tears into the fading star's public persona with his signature brand of late-night humor, Megyn Kelly approaches the same target, but from a distinctly different, though equally devastating angle. Where Gutfeld is the gleeful court jester, Kelly is the seasoned, unflappable news veteran, wielding her extensive experience like a surgeon's scalpel to meticulously dissect the spectacle. Kelly's criticism zeroes in on De Niro not just as a potentially washed-up star, but as a prime example of a celebrity activist whose political performances are often as hollow and performative as a badly written, poorly rehearsed movie script. Her critique is surgical, precise, and utterly unforgiving. She paints De Niro as a man desperately trying to navigate a complex political landscape that has moved far beyond celebrities simply shouting their opinions from the sidelines. In her view, his activism often feels staged, a predictable series of convenient photo ops and social media tirades that conspicuously lack any real substance or nuanced policy insight. It's as if Robert De Niro genuinely believes that shouting louder and angrier than everyone else somehow equates to possessing profound political wisdom. A misconception Megyn Kelly swiftly and brutally exposes.
Kind of what Jesse said, but not really. De Niro kind of represents Hollywood in the sense that they realize that they're losing influence with the public, and that's what's generating the emotional response. They've never felt less important.
It just doesn't feel like 2016 again. We lived through that. Did they forget?
Yeah.
The laughs Gutfeld elicits aren't just about De Niro's age or his fading Hollywood stardom. He expertly, ruthlessly, skewers De Niro's desperate attempts at staying in the public eye by loudly and often very awkwardly weighing in on every single political controversy, as if he's the sole, appointed voice of a generation. The problem is, as Gutfeld would argue, that generation has long since moved on, likely to watch something more current on TikTok. Instead of sparking meaningful conversations or offering insightful perspectives, De Niro's statements often land with the jarring subtlety of a wrecking ball crashing through a delicate china shop. Gutfeld highlights the inherent comedy in this profound disconnect. A Hollywood titan, once revered, now reduced to a Twitter warrior, swinging verbal punches at largely invisible enemies while the rest of the world watches on, mostly in cringing, secondhand embarrassment. There's also that delicious, almost irresistible irony in how De Niro's legendary tough guy roles, once steeped in gritty, often brutal realism, now seems so utterly at odds with the polished, performative, almost theatrical grandstanding he puts on display in his political appearances. It's almost as if the method actor took an extended break to binge-watch cable news and mistakenly decided that unrestrained outrage was the new, most compelling acting method. Gutfeld doesn't miss a single beat, throwing in sharp barbs about how this modern De Niro is more about grand, empty declarations than actual subtlety, more about desperately trying to score social media points than delivering Oscar-worthy performances. And it's funny because, well, as Gutfeld implies, it's painfully, undeniably true. De Niro has become a parody of resistance, a thunderstorm of pure sound without a single flash of illuminating light.
Last night, an elderly, confused man went missing in New York. Luckily, a band of self-satisfied elitists found him babbling on the street, threw some pants on him, gave him a stage.
Oh my God.
I'm going to say one thing. Trump.
Enter Greg Gutfeld, the late-night satirist who's been sharpening his comedic machete, seemingly just waiting for the perfect moment to hack through the overgrown, dense jungle of Hollywood nostalgia and perceived self-importance. Gutfeld, never one to let a good tantrum go unmarked, saw a golden, irresistible opportunity. A once respected actor, his skull now seemingly filled with nothing but sound bites, and a heart overflowing with inexplicable fury, blindly swatting at everything that breathes red state oxygen. Gutfeld's take isn't just a simple roast. It's a full-on, merciless demolition of De Niro's carefully constructed, now crumbling, public persona. Because there was a time when De Niro wasn't just an actor. He was a symbol, a veritable icon of raw, unfiltered cinematic grit, the ultimate anti-hero who could make silence scarier than any bullet fired on screen. But these days, according to Gutfeld, he's about as intimidating as a slightly damp teddy bear with a surprisingly bad haircut. And that, right there, is the crux of Gutfeld's relentless, savage jabs. De Niro's political rants feel less like passionate, well-reasoned statements from a concerned citizen and more like the increasingly incoherent ramblings of a man whose prime, unfortunately, expired around the same time floppy disks were considered cutting-edge technology.
Robert De Niro graced the knitting circle in hell known as The View, where he tried to link random thoughts into a sentence. Joy was there to wind him up, since he's played some of the most unredeemable characters.
You have played some of the most really unredeemable characters. Travis Bickle. Travis Bickle was a psychopathic taxi driver. Jake LaMotta, who used to beat his wife, and he was in The Raging Bull. Is Trump worse than they are?
To me, he is.
It was reportedly De Niro's bizarre press conference outside the Trump trial, a move allegedly orchestrated by the Biden campaign that truly set the stage for this roast. It was, to quote the transcript, colossally stupid. If you're going to send someone to speak, maybe pick someone universally beloved, not a man who, for the past 8 years, has become example number 1 of Trump derangement syndrome. De Niro, it's argued, is so hard partisan, he makes hardcore politicos look like wishy-washy undecideds. He's one of those, I'm moving to Canada if he wins types, seemingly convinced Trump will declare himself dictator for life, conveniently forgetting, as critics like Gutfeld gleefully point out, that people, even presidents, do eventually leave office, one way or another. The image of him yelling at regular people on the street, you're a gangster, go yourself, is, for many, a jarring departure from the cool, controlled menace he once projected.
Being an actor is tough, for how does one handle real life without a script? Not equipped to think analytically, you're left powerless when observing your own predictions about life turn out wrong. It's not supposed to be this way, De Niro thinks. Only the cool guys get to win. Sorry, Bob. That's only in the movies.
Robert De Niro, the man who once turned the American mafia into an Oscar-worthy career, is now, it seems, walking around like he's the official, unelected spokesperson for politically induced rage aneurysms. You'd almost think he was deep in method acting for a new, unannounced role. Angry New Yorker in questionably sourced orthopedic shoes yells incoherently at passing skyscrapers. But lately, his biggest, most talked-about performance isn't on any silver screen. It's in becoming a walking, shouting, often bewildering PSA for how to gracefully age into a caricature of your former self. As one commentator in the transcript brutally put it, without a script, De Niro is so stupid. A coke-addled simpleton, a far cry from the brilliant actor many once revered.
Clearly has thought about this, more so than his career. His choice of roles is now down to cinnamon and lobster. He was then asked about the Trump kids. At least he doesn't want my kids to take this the wrong way.
Robert De Niro just walked into the wrong roast. And Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly weren't just holding microphones. They were reportedly wielding flamethrowers. Hollywood's loudest and arguably grumpiest grandpa tried to throw some political punches, only to get metaphorically drop-kicked with facts, sarcasm, and a generous splash of espresso-fueled rage. Think, too, of media's sharpest assassins, tag-teaming a man who genuinely thought his performance in Taxi Driver still granted him lifetime immunity from criticism. Buckle up, folks, because this takedown has more savage twists than De Niro's eyebrows when he hears the word accountability. And you won't believe what got absolutely obliterated first. This isn't just a celebrity feud, it's a 5-alarm media firestorm.